All right, let's talk about this. All right, let's make some noise. What happened? Yeah, yeah. How you guys doing? You guys doing all right? That's good. I don't know why I think you were responding, but I'm gonna talk to you. My name is Hero. This is Coding with Strangers, and I want to talk about something. Every now and again, when Elon Musk gets too quiet, I assume that he's probably learned his lesson, or he's not being a destructive psychopath. But in reality, all he's doing is festering. And the idle hands do the devil's work. And whenever Elon Musk is too quiet in the news, it's because of one of the two things. One, he's being sued, or two, his companies are losing money. And seeing as how he's being quiet a lot more and more lately, it means quarterly reviews and annual reviews are coming out. And it's pretty ironic after his stakeholders fought tooth and nail to get him the money he felt he was owed, even though a federal judge said, "Nah, that's an exuberant price to be paying a CEO. We're not gonna approve it." They fought tooth and nail to make sure he could get that money. And the question is, are you guys business investors or is this a cult? Because the amount of money you're not making due to fantasizing over Elon is pretty crazy. And the thing that is kind of concerning is Elon following his crowd or is his crowd following Elon? And what do I mean by that? Elon gives off a certain level of divorced dad, and as a person who has and as a Elon having 12 plus kids that we know of right now, and one of them he seems to have an all-out hatred for, it's quite apparent to me that he's online too much, and it's hard to tell someone like him to get off the internet when part of his job is being on the internet. But what happens when you're not good at being on the internet? Well, then you say random stuff on Twitter and you go around supporting the conservative Republican Party that is being drove by MAGA, that when January 6th happened a long time ago, because it's kind of crazy to think about, it was almost 4 years ago. In large part, that happened because his social media network didn't have the capacity to handle all of those things, right? They didn't understand how that all would go down. And you don't have to also look at that, but he has goals and aspirations. He has goals and aspirations because you would think that, okay, divorced dad energy is on 10, but maybe he can will this up. It's funny to think how the richest man on earth is so miserable. There has to be something for him to do. So let him do some work. And Elon said, you know what? I am going to do some work. I'm going to work to replace taxi drivers, Uber and Lyft drivers. I'm going to make it totally autonomous. I'm going to make the vehicles do the driving. And he tried this with self-driving cars for Tesla. But Tesla vehicles kept failing the self-driving component of the driving, which is very important if you ask me. I think a self-driving car should absolutely be able to self-drive itself if you say it's a self-driving car, right? But when that didn't happen, a lot of people then questioned, like, what's next for you, baby Elon? What's good in the hood, man? What you gonna do? Well, instead of him to, think of a practical way of doing this, he figured the only reason why his self-driving cars were actually crashing is due to human error. So in his robo-taxis, he's opted to remove the pedals and the steering wheel. Which begs the question, what would happen if, one of these cars decided to go Skynet and you actually managed to get in the vehicle? How would you stop it? Besides the bounds and leaping hills of questions Elon would have to answer, and the amount of people that would have to be either drugged or beaten over the head before making a decision on this as far as a legal standpoint, there's no way that this is ever going to happen. It's just not possible. But then again, what idea Elon has made on his own has ever really just stuck? He bought Tesla as a company. He bought Twitter when it was successful and destroyed that. And what about stuff that he thinks about on his own? About that time he wanted to bore a hole underneath Las Vegas, not to build a super train so that, a bunch of people could compile into it, move across from California to Las Vegas in under 20 minutes. No, 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 no. He wanted to make it so that his own personal Tesla vehicles could go through it, and that would be it. He basically wanted to make one lane of traffic that traveled super fast underneath ground. And it's one of those things where I say this all the time. Elon has to fail things that people have already perfected to understand why they are okay the way they are. So instead of him, building some super train, he didn't do that. He decided to build one for Luke. And we haven't heard anything about that, maybe because countless numbers of people were dying, getting hurt, or being exposed to toxins while in the process of it. And, something about Elon strikes me as a person who's not really OSHA compliant. He doesn't give off the, I'm going to make sure everyone's safe here. I mean, we're talking about a dude that offers almost every woman in his company the opportunity to have his child. And if you are willing to listen to Elon Musk's repugnant ideologies on eugenics and how he just feels the need to populate the world, it's something he thoroughly enjoys. And after sexually assaulting his victims, he usually tries to give them a horse. I don't know, it's collateral in these day and age. But it's not all doom and gloom. The company that he's so widely known for and his ability to set the standard. He set the standard for EV vehicles and what it takes and what it should look like and how it should be done. You can't take that away from him. That's something he has done, and he has done well. The only problem is, just like giving someone quality pumps, and it's kind of ironic we're talking about that, given this horny little man, giving somebody quality pumps requires a consistent tempo. If you go in too hot, you're going to be out real quick. If you go in too slow, you might not be able to stand up the way you want. You got to be quality timed and effort. Quality passion. That's what we're about here, okay? Don't you forget it. So what happens when you stop bringing quality into your products? Well, people notice. So let's find out what they notice. Tesla, second quarter profit falls 45%, 1.48 billion as sales drop despite price cuts and low interest loans. It's almost as if putting that huge truck that looks like a PlayStation 1 era polygon vehicle wasn't a good idea, and then having a multitude of errors occur to the extent that the car could probably hurt you, because if the pedal gets stuck underneath a certain lip, you can't decelerate the vehicle. Crazy, right? Crazy. Tesla, second quarter net income fell 45% compared with a year ago as the company's global electric vehicle sales tumbled despite price cuts and low interest financing. The Austin, Texas company said Tuesday that it made $1.48 billion from April through June, less than $2.7 billion it made in the same period of 2023. It was Tesla's second straight quarterly net income decline. So it's not a spike, it's not a dip. It's a consistent trip, and we talked about consistency in the beginning. It's important. Second quarter revenue rose 2%, $25.5 billion, beating Wall Street's estimates. of 24.54 billion according to FactSet. Excluding one-time items, Tesla made 52 cents per share, below analyst expectation of 61 cents. Shares of Tesla fell 8% in trading after Tuesday's closing bell. The shares had been down more than 40% earlier in the year, but have since recovered most of the losses. And I want to explain something. In large part, Elon's losses wouldn't be so magnanimous if it wasn't for the fact that Elon has one atrocious flaw. Is he doesn't know how to shut the fuck up. I've never seen a more insecure individual in my life. The richest man on earth is one of the most insecure people in the world. And that's why he bought a social media platform to make people love him. Because no one in real world will hug him. Not consensually. It's not quality. Earlier this month, Tesla said it sold 443,956 vehicles from April through June, down 4.8%. So even from a standpoint of just, they're trying to give these things away and people won't take them. For the first half of the year, Tesla has sold 831,000 vehicles worldwide, far short of the more than 1.8 million for the full year the CEO Elon Musk predicted. You see, it wasn't just hyperbole. If Elon would shut the hell up, he would be able to avoid gaffes like this. But he can't help himself. He can't help himself. And it's easy for me to sit here and rag on a man that's down, but it's also easy for me to rag on Elon Musk. He's well deserving of being dragged through the mud. And I know what you're saying. You're sitting here. These are my closing thoughts. Well, we're not going to stay on this for long. Hero, I think you might want to reconsider his genius because, he is doing SpaceX and he is doing Neuralink. And you know what? I'd give you some credit for that. I'd almost even congratulate you for capitulating to the bare minimum of a billionaire having a successful business. I mean, why is that so hard for him to do? But if you think for 1 second that Elon Musk's successful projects are successful because of him and not because of the copious amounts of regulations that he is required to follow, and if he fucks up, he will lose a vast majority of his funding, SpaceX being funded specifically by a lot of people's tax dollars, and the subsidized checks that he gets is by no coincidence something that makes his company successful. There are hawks watching him from a mile away, ready to pounce on any infractions any one of his scrupulous funded companies by the federal government seem to have. Same thing goes as Neuralink. There's no way in heck he's going to be able to usurp medical practices in fame or claim to make bold, grandiose statements. He can't back it up, and no one will support it. No one will defend it. So when you look at Elon Musk and you want to make a betting call on him, your best bet is these are the best that you can always be assured of. Elon Musk is going to put out frivolous lawsuits for the hell of it, probably gets him off. He's going to try and sexually assault, maybe, any woman he comes across and try and offer to have their baby. If he's a solo individual of the company and he had the idea on his own, it's probably not going to do well. If it's not subsidized by the government, it'll probably do well. And then last but not least, it's important to know that he isn't some genius that came up and got it out the mud. No, his dad was an emerald miner who usurped regulations in South Africa and put people at risk to make a buck. And he rode that wave all the way into the sanctimonious situation that he is in now, where he is funding the Republican Party. And I want history to never forget what side of the aisle he was on. The fake billionaire, fake philanthropist is a miserable individual who wants a hug and had to buy a social media website in order to feel warmth because the world wouldn't give him a hug. And it's just very telling that he is the richest man in the world, because he would be able to acquire a lot more of affection from people if he actually did decent things with his riches. But because he's a self-centered, egotistical maniac, he's forced to think that the world is coming after him. And I want to almost imply that mindset. Yeah, Elon, people are coming for you. You continue to be a dirtbag individual, they'll keep coming for your money, your products, and anything you put your name behind in a negative light. People will come for you. Change up your attitude and you'll see the world change up around you. You are what you eat. You feel me? Clap it. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Tell me, are you buying a Tesla vehicle? They're not. You're right. They're not even the best electric vehicles on the road anymore. It's a shame. Ford is caught up. Disgusting. Disgusting.